before we proceed with the strategy discussion, I would just like to tell y'all before we proceed that we have a free giveaway to everybody who's attending the event today, which will be given towards the end of the session. So please be patient and wait till the end. It is something that will be very helpful for you in the preparation for the exam. Now, before we move ahead, I would just quickly like to tell you all about Exam Assure. It's a venture run by alumni of SPAs, IITs, and NITs, especially for the field of architecture and planning. Till today, we've guided over more than 2,000 students and conducted various events and workshops. Other than that, we have a lot of free study material, jobs and internship updates, competitions, articles, etc. on our website as well. We have our various students who have fared well in most or all of the exams, like for example, the GATE exam that recently took place. So these are some of our results from GATE. We have a few of our students who have been selected in SPA Delhi as well in the first round. And as far as our government exams, we conducted the Rajasthan Assistant Town Planning exam courses, where these students from Exam Assure have qualified the exam, as well as the Chennai Metropolitan Development Authority exam that we had conducted the course for. These are our successful candidates from the same. Now, moving on to the exam and its pattern. Before that, tell me how many of you have gone through the syllabus of the exam? So most of you have read it thoroughly, which is very good. I think that's the most important thing to do when it comes to your exam. Those who have not yet read it, Shraddha, Tushar, who else was there? Please, after this session, go and read the syllabus once. That will give you a better idea as well about the exam. Also, I'll quickly discuss about the exam pattern and the syllabus as well. So that will be helpful in our further discussion. Now, tell me how many parts is the syllabus divided into? Whoever said they have read the syllabus, please tell me how many parts is it divided into and what all is the content. Overall syllabus, if we see, is divided into two parts. That is part 1 and part 2. Wherein your first part contains basic concepts related to architecture, planning, that is your urban planning, architecture and planning legislation, and GIS. So this is basically all your technical syllabus that we go through in the course of 5 years of architecture, 4 years of planning. And the part 2 is something that consists of your reasoning ability, quantitative aptitude, English, and general knowledge or general awareness, right? Now this, we'll just take a quick look at the details of part 1 in the next slide, wherein the part 1 is again divided into 4 sections. That is your architecture, environmental planning, services, and planning legislation and GIS. Along with that, you also have the Delhi Development Act and the Master Plan of Delhi till that is up to 2021, right? Now, in terms of the exam pattern, it is very important to understand how the exam is going to be. It will be a single stage online exam, so there will be no interview or anything. So any candidate who will qualify or who will be selected will be on the basis of whatever marks you score in the online exam. Okay. Now the total number of questions will be 120, wherein each question will have 1 mark. So the total paper will be of 120 marks and the duration will be of 2 hours. So roughly you will have 1 minute for one question, right? And for every wrong answer, there will be a negative marking of 0.33. Now in this also, in terms of the 120 questions and everything, your part 1 will consist of 80 questions and 80 marks, and the part 2, that is reasoning ability, quantitative aptitude, English and general awareness, will consist of 10 marks each or 10 questions each. So that makes up your 40 marks for part 2. Okay, so now we'll move on to what should be the approach or what should be the strategy. But before that, I would just again like to remind the people who've also joined late that there is a free giveaway, and please be patient till the end. So it will be helpful for you guys as well. So now you guys tell me what should be the approach for the exam, or what is the basic approach that we take whenever we have an exam. So we first looked at the syllabus. Yes, that is an important thing. So what is important in understanding the previous year questions is the analysis of the questions, right? So now if you just take a close look at the 2019 DDA Planning Assistant paper, if we see more than 40% questions or weightage was given to the planning, legislation and GIS part. After that, in priority is architecture. So you had around 18 to 20 questions on architecture. Then environmental planning, roughly about 15-16 questions, and services and infrastructure, 9 to 10 questions. Now, if you see in the 2019 paper, there were no questions on the Delhi Development Act or on the master plan. The same thing has happened even in the assistant director planning paper in 2019, where there are no questions on the Delhi Development Act or the master plan. And again, even in this case, if you see, more than 50% weightage was given to planning, then architecture, then your services and environmental planning, right? But if you analyze the trend with respect to the next year paper of DDA Assistant Director in 2020, a lot of weightage has been given to the master plan, right? So in this, you can see that the trend is changing. They are sticking more to the syllabus because the syllabus is somewhat similar in both the cases. And in fact, even the level of questions or the difficulty of questions is at par in both the exams, the assistant director as well as the planning assistant. So even if you see over here, you have architecture, planning, legislation, the master plan, and environmental planning, which have a very close by around 20-25% weightage. And then you have your services and infrastructure and the Delhi Development Act. So in terms of strategy formulation, if you just compare all the three papers, right? In this case, if you see architecture or planning, they still hold a higher weightage. And if you see in terms of the 2020 paper, the weightage for architecture planning has not reduced drastically, but your master plan and Delhi Development Act have also had questions on it, right? So in terms of your approach, it should be a very wise and a strategic decision that you make while deciding however you may plan to study, right? So now what should be the strategy? Now, if you've seen the analysis, from that, what we can say is that you can try and follow the Parkinson's law, which says that the amount of work expands to fill the time available for its completion. So it basically just means that if you give yourself 1 week to complete a task that is going to take only 2 hours, you will need, or you will use or waste 1 week to finish that 2-hour work. So it is more of a psychological play. So the amount of time you dedicate for yourself and decide that, okay, I have to finish so and so task in so much time. It is more important to stick to it. Now moving on to the strategy part. So will this be something, should this really be the strategy, study one night before the exam like we used to do in college or something? Definitely no, right? Because what it will result in is something of this sort 1 day before the exam. So what you can do is divide the strategy into 2 parts. So I will be discussing a macro level and a micro level strategy. So firstly, in the macro level strategy, now we have also looked at the analysis of the past papers, right? So as per that analysis, I think even I don't really need to tell you this, but you only will tell me that, okay, in the analysis, what we saw was architecture planning, master plan had a lot of weightage. So these should be your priority focus, right? Other than that, you have environmental planning as well. And of course, you cannot forget quantitative aptitude and general awareness, because quantitative aptitude is going to consist of your numericals, which I believe should be practiced daily, at least for half an hour over the course till September, because that consists of 10 marks, and 10 marks is not less. And in terms of the micro, in the second priority, you can have subjects which had little less weightage in terms of services, the Delhi Development Act, and also reasoning ability and English, because these are fairly something that we utilize on a daily basis. Why have I put quantitative aptitude in the first priority is because most of the architects, I'm not saying everybody, but yeah, we do find it difficult in terms of these mathematical equations and everything. So it is better to practice that daily. Now, also in terms of prioritizing, both the entire syllabus shall be covered. It should not be that, since there is less weightage to services or the Delhi Development Act, that you will not study and leave it for chance. So don't do that. Just finish off what is higher on priority as per the previous year exam questions, and then you can move on to the ones where less number of questions are usually asked. Now, at a micro level strategy, what we can have is, let's say you start from tomorrow, you can have another 15 days for architecture till, let's say, 6 July, you finish off the architecture part. Then you take another 15 days to finish off planning, legislation, and GIS, because these two are the most important and have the highest weightage. After that, you can utilize some time for your environmental planning, let's say around 10 days, right? Now, all this strategy, what I'm discussing is considering that you are already studying, plus some of you may be in college, or you might be working, right? So since most of you might be working, this would be something where you can have a slow-paced learning as well, balancing your work and the studies. Now, this is no magic pill. It is going to work only and only if you study, right? Now, once you're done with, let's say, environmental planning, you can allot around 6 days for master plan. Then another 1 day for, let's say, the Delhi Development Act, because if you see the document, it's only a 19 pages document. So I don't think you're going to need more than 1 day. And then you can move on to services and infrastructure and transportation planning. Now, along with this, like I mentioned earlier, daily you should practice your quantitative aptitude part. And the general knowledge part, you could read the newspapers, or likewise whatever questions, if you've gone through the previous year questions, somewhat similar uh, areas of study can be looked into. Now, once all of this is completed, let's say by 14th August, you finish off going through the entire syllabus thoroughly once, then you will have some time in hand, let's say another 15-20 days, because as per the DDA, the exam can be announced or conducted somewhere between in the month of September, between 1st to 31st. So you can go through that. Now, the rest of these days that you have in hand is what you should use for your revision part, wherein you can, again, now since you've done you've gone through the entire syllabus thoroughly, in the revision part, you can reduce the number of days. And of course, since you're rereading it or revising it, it's going to be much faster than the first time. So likewise, you can allot days. Now, this is just a ideation that I'm mentioning to you all. You can, based on your strengths and weaknesses, you can adjust the number of days that you want to allot for any of these, right? And whatever extra days you might get in the month of September, again, you could have another revision in those days. Along with that, also in this time, what you can start with is practicing your mock tests. Since it is an online exam, you can practice as many mock tests as you can, and you should rather. So that will help you prepare better for the exam likewise. So in terms of exam preparation and management, primarily we've looked at the analysis of the previous year question papers. And secondly, what is more important is practicing the mock test. Then, of course, another important thing is having a conceptual understanding of what you're studying, because some questions are such wherein you need to have more than factual, it is based on concept. So conceptual understanding is very important. And on a personal front, of course, consistency, self-discipline are things. But what is most important is not to be worried about how much your friend has finished studying. So which most of us tend to do. So please don't be bothered about who has finished what. And very important thing, like somebody had said that, understanding your strengths and weaknesses. One of the most important thing, please understand your strengths and weaknesses and work upon them. So probably, let's say if I know that I'm weak in planning part and I'm very good at architecture part, I will dedicate less time to architecture and work on strengthening my weakness, that is the planning part, right? So you have to identify your strengths accordingly and work upon it. Also, for the same, Exam Assure will be conducting a planning assistant course that is starting from tomorrow, that is 27 June, and will go on till 26th August. Now, the classes will be live classes conducted by previous GATE top rankers, AIR 2, 5, 24, etc. And in the classes also, the focus will be only on what the exam demands, focusing on the important and key scoring points, along with strategies, tips, and tricks to solve the questions or to derive an answer where you're confused between two options or something. Now, the course is not for 15,000. It will only be for 8,499. And we are beginning with the course from tomorrow. Along with that, in the course, you will get solved papers of planning assistant, assistant director planning. All these question papers will be provided to the students who enroll. Along with that, we will also be having live full-length online mock tests based wherein you will get a detailed performance analysis after you submit the test to better understand what are the weaknesses, what are your strengths, etc. So it will be helpful in that way. Along with that, we will also be conducting live aptitude classes for the same. So what you will actually get is, probably some of you might be in this state right now. The course will help you to get into this state towards the end of the 2-month course. Now, coming to the free giveaway, like I said, thank you for waiting towards the end. Now, the first free giveaway that we have is the solved previous year question paper of 2019. That the link for the same is being shared in the chat. So you can click on it and download it and use it to study. The second giveaway is that we will be conducting a free mock test towards August end or September once the dates are declared. Now there is a procedure to avail this free mock test paper. What you have to do is, a link will be shared in the chat box for the same. You have to join the WhatsApp group, and the further details, all the details, the link, etc., will be shared in that WhatsApp group in the month of August towards the end. So these are the free giveaways that I had mentioned earlier. So thank you for being patient. And yes, in case if anybody has any questions, you may please feel free to type in the chat and we will be more than happy to address all your queries.